Ah, the paradox. Good morning. Oh dear. Strange morning today. The title that I've finally selected was When the Mind is Quiet. Today is one of those mornings when I want my mind to reveal what I am supposed to talk about in my video. But my mind is quiet. Yes, I know that is the goal for many people when they meditate. Not me. I like mindful meditations when I can observe the thoughts passing by. I get tremendous inspiration a lot with that method. When the mind is quiet and I do not feel any particular leading for a topic, I feel troubled by the peaceful mind. As I come to the computer, and after sitting here for a while, I still do not know what to say today. Ah, the paradox. Well, that was about 20 minutes or so ago. And then, of course, I started reading some of my emails and wading through the 100 and some emails that came since I went to bed last night. I came across this email from my friend Giselle. Maybe I shouldn't be naming anybody. She said, Ron, all I want to say is that so many of us just couldn't relate to the things you are so passionate about. So we just kind of don't react or respond. It's not personal. But what you are talking about now, we can relate to. I have to join with Margie and say, I love your evolution too. Thank you for sharing. That actually triggered a flow of thoughts. In the meeting yesterday at the Mystics in Training class, which I've missed a lot of this year, unfortunately, but a couple of subjects came up that really bothered me in the respect that most people, from my perspective, are still clueless about what's going on in the world. The first one was the mention of the shooting in Colorado, and that people were afraid to go to places that they normally go, and they're more apprehensive and more alert and watchful. A couple of people had recently gone to the theater and were for the first time noticing everybody that came in and noticing where all the exits were, just in case, which is something that they had never done before. And I asked, do you want me to give my comment on that? And one person said, no. And another person said, what do you want to say? And I said, I made the comment, the gunman, the guy's father, worked in military intelligence in the mind control program. I mean, give me a break. How obvious do you want it to be? And then that person asked me after, do you think everything is a conspiracy? And I said, pretty much so. Now, that's the kind of stuff that people in some of these spiritual groups don't relate to. They don't think it's reasonable, because they've been brainwashed, in my opinion, into thinking that things just happen. Nothing is ever planned. It just, these 9/11 stuff and Waco and the bombing in Oklahoma City, these are just accidents, these mass murders with the gunman going crazy at Virginia Tech and another one in the military base in Texas. These are just strange accidents of a lone gunman, in the case of the gunman, Kennedy assassination, the lone gunman. It's not part of a grand plan. It's not something that powerful people had a goal in mind or a purpose in mind, and they actually created the problem. I think almost every tragedy in the world, I'm not talking about every tragedy that makes the headlines on a wide scale, especially in the United States, virtually every one of them is a planned event that people in control have an objective, and they want to get the reaction of the people. As David Icke says, it's problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem to get a reaction because they have a purpose that they want to bring to pass. And in the case of this Colorado shooting, as in previous ones, what they want to do is they want to get the American people to let go of their weapons, to let go of their guns. They want to disarm America so that America can be subjected to martial law. They wanted that with 9/11. That was the objective in 9/11, and also to prevent Nasara from being announced so that the Bush cabal could remain in power. All right. That's number one that bothered me. See how my mind all of a sudden gets active just by reading one email, triggering? Because these are things to me that are really important. And then there were a couple of people, and I know some other people personally, that are giving up their homes to short sales because they cannot make the payments on their house. So they're giving up their house or a house to the system because they don't educate themselves as to what mortgages really are. And they don't like it when I talk about these things. But aren't these things important to us to know our own world? A peaceful mind, I suppose, is wonderful. But as I said in the blurb, sometimes for me, a peaceful mind, when I have to give a video, or I don't have to, but when I do a video every day, I have to have something to talk about. I mean, I just can't sit here and look at the screen and smile. I mean, how many people would watch that? I mean, quite honestly, I don't even watch my own videos most of the time. I just put the video on and I'm listening, doing other things. Sometimes I go back and I lay down and I listen while I'm laying down on the bed. And not even sitting at the computer, so I don't see what I'm doing or the flames or anything in the setting behind me. It's important for me to have ideas. And when I go into that peaceful place, paradoxically, when the peaceful place is just before I'm supposed to start a video, it's bothersome. I mean, what the heck am I supposed to talk about, God? Give me some inspiration here. Inspiration comes in the form of thoughts. That's what I'm used to. That's the language that I'm used to. Thoughts and feelings with the thoughts, feeling the passion with the thoughts. And I realize that as I've been so mellow lately, and I really have been, I really do sense a conspiracy for good. A conspiracy where people wake up and we change the world. And then as I say that, actually before I even said it, I get the thought, but people aren't waking up. Just as my friends, I mean, they think it's wonderful that I'm not talking about conspiracies. Well, can we wake up without knowing what's happening in the world? I'm not sure we can. To me, understanding the conspiratorial nature of our world and the fraudulent nature of our world, understanding that the ego, and more precisely the shadow, has personified in world leadership so that it takes on the collective shadow of the world. The stuff that's hidden needs to remain hidden so that people can have peace and security. But it's not peace and security. And because people like me are waking up around the globe and realizing what is actually happening in the world and realizing how the game has been played, that brings all the more pressure on the whole scenario of the worldwide awakening. It brings the pressure there because the people that are wanting to maintain the illusion and wanting to maintain their control mechanisms are getting more and more desperate because people like me are exposing what they're doing. People like me are telling the truth. And you say, well, that's not important, Ron. I don't want to know that stuff. I don't want to know that 100% of commercial mortgages are fraud. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And if I can't afford to pay for my home, well, I made a contract, and I have to let go of my home because I can't afford it anymore. And my heart breaks. Because if people would listen to me on things like this that I'm passionate about, of knowing the truth, we could change it that much faster. And because people don't wake up, then sometimes I grasp at straws, hoping for UFO help in arresting the criminals that are committing the fraud. And I get to feeling afraid that maybe they won't arrest him, and maybe we'll have to keep on going through the nightmare because people refuse to wake up. Maybe it has to get really, really bad. If it depends just on humans waking up, maybe it has to get really, really bad before it can get better. And then 2012 isn't the end of it. Isn't the mark, the place that we make the shift from the old world to the new world. And then I start looking at the splitting and saying, well, maybe we're just going to split off, and the good people, the awake people, are going to go to a peaceful planet and leave the other people behind to fight their crazy, insane battles in a fraudulent system where the government owns everything and the people own nothing and the people are powerless. You all know where I've been. I want the people to be empowered. All of us. I want everybody to discover love. And we don't have a loving environment as long as the current system remains intact. It must be stopped. It must be revealed. I don't know what to do to convince those of you that don't want to listen to these things. I don't know what to do. When my mind is quiet, it troubles me because I've been a person who has observed my thoughts for a long time. I shouldn't even call it meditation because it's really contemplation. I contemplate things. Anyway, I really love each of you, and I really want everyone on this planet that it's possible to awaken and to remember who we are, individually and collectively. I want so much for the new heaven and the new earth to manifest so that we can truly have peace on earth. And I don't see it happening without people waking up to the reality of the matrix that we live in. That most everything that's done is a conspiracy. And the grand conspiracy is a conspiracy for good. That even with all of the plans of the dark ones, the plan of God, of Creator, is for the lights to come on. And I don't know how that's going to happen, but I believe it must happen. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you again for listening. Namaste.